So, good morning and welcome to the session for reforming the evaluation of research. And I also welcome all of you and our distinguished panelists, and one of Dr. Momita will connect online. So what we plan to do is that we'll plan to have as we do in every panel, that each of the panelists will speak, and we will try to see that that take 20 minutes or so. I will try to take 10 minutes or less from that, and then we will have the question answer sessions and discussion and comments which can be made. Primarily, I would say that I am very glad that about this conference. It was something which I recall in the early days when me and our director, we went to Dr. Nitin Seth and we talked about this CEFIPRA Indo-French conference can be done, and then there were a very enthusiastic response from both the sides, and there were many good proposals which had come across, and this is and as Dr. Seth said, that is the start of the first step, and I'm sure the other proposals will come across also. This is a very important part also of this aspect when we are focusing on reforming the research evaluation aspects, and I have tried to draw quickly some points, but before that I would say that the whole, when I am looking at, in a sense, this whole aspect of this research evaluation, open science together, I would also like to draw attention to a conference which we had in STIG, R&D, governance, and looking at STI indicators. And possibly what it does is that it connects very well with this conference. And this is the remarkable team of Dr. Kasturi, Dr. Vinayak, Dr. Avinash, and ably supported by Dr. Vipin and Dr. Naresh Institute, and many of them, and you can see them, Dr. Sandhya and all, you will meet. So it is a collective effort, and there we are today together. I would say that, trying to say before coming to that, I was studying at that time, everyone was looking at how COVID-19, how we responded to COVID-19. And when you see that it is where open science, open data sharing came into this whole perspective. So there it was when January 3rd or 4th, I saw that we had this first genome sequence. It was available to the whole world by Dr. Zhang, and he took a great risk at that time to put that across that genome sequence, and that paved the way for the COVID-19 and that depiction of this whole virus, understanding how the virus structure is. And it was acclaimed also that in the Nature top 10 who had really made the significant development in science, his name was there. And you see that at that time GSIRD database was created, where all these SARS genome sequences were put in. So you see that open science in practice is very important. So that is where I thought I will start with this. And going across the things, what I felt was that here we are standing, where my distinguished panelists will also throw light on that, and the panel sessions also will come, where we will look at how we integrate responsible indicators and evaluation methodologies in research assessment. And this has become very important. I also dive down into the quantitative research also, and here we have in scientometrics, the special issue is coming up where we are having to look at how bibliometrics responds to this. And so I will also be writing on that. So this conference is also where I am dipping to, and I will try to cite as many on this conference also on that. Indicators and metrics are not ethically and epistemologically neutral. That we have to understand for the research evaluation practice. challenges persist regarding transparency, ethical consideration, the balance between quantitative and qualitative indicators. Now you see that we had this long, from the 17th century onwards, where the peer review system had evolved, but here we are at a crisis, of the very crisis of the whole peer review system in itself, and the various other quantitative indicators of impact factor, H index, alt matrix, and the way we are evaluated by that. So these are also things which will come up. I am sure in the panel also many of these things will come across, and we will able to move forward from there. Evaluation primarily based on ex post approach, which we see, and where we had in that last conference also, we discussed on the foresight potential impact assessment of measures. The ranking criteria, matrices are not meaningful on their own, that we have to understand that. And there we possibly, I would say that this is the beginning of the conference. We should have more conferences, more interactions which builds up with this through this conference, but are ascribed meaning as part of the wider institutional practices. External accountability for research is coming across. I would say that every of us are finding that external accountability. It is good also, but sometimes it is dangerous also, that you don't allow the blue sky research to happen. You want so many of these demands which for development, and which also called for development of new evaluation methods, where an emphasis on research impact as a component of research value is very important. So here we need to develop a shared understanding of responsible matrices and their application. Many are doing, and I see that as the European frameworks, the European research evaluation systems and all this, as one of the panelists, very important, she will also speak of how the European approach is there, Corera and others, which is now much more a collective effort globally. And also CODATA, UNESCO, so many are trying to look at it, that how we develop these responsible matrices and their application, co-design evaluation system that balance academic integrity, stakeholder need and societal impact, propose the standard protocol and ethical guidelines to enhance the transparency, practitioners and institutional stakeholders to advance the field of evaluation studies. And here I see that in your Corera also, I see that it is very good stakeholders engagement with the funding bodies and with the practitioners and all. So possibly, and Europe also, I see that there is a debate on how we see that the open access is are adhered to. So I see in Horizon program also that it is important that all funding which is come from there has to be open access. So institutionalization becomes very important. And I was interested to see also how it is under early stages, which I know, how the citizen science initiatives are integrated together at Core Europe. So all these are interesting developments. Here also we are trying to develop new models, as you can see that over the workshop. But we also need theoretical and frameworks for responsible matrices, and correct incorporation of scholarly impact and other impacts. Other impacts were very important. That not only this, because when we are talking of the citizen science, when we are talking of the whole spread across this, how we evaluate. Many of our we have to go back and see whether we have evaluated a scientist or whether we have evaluated researchers and all properly or not. This is very important, that how we evaluate and what are the criteria for evaluation. So with that, I see that we have a very important panel here. Dr. Linda Borrell-Domain, Science Europe, welcome. And she will talk of Coalition on Advancing Research Assessment. And I think that what I was talking of, that maybe they will not be touched now, part of it will be touched, and there will be also always the thought for the questions can be put up. So I have put those questions here. Dr. Vinayak from Institute, he will talk of new methods for measuring phases of science. So it is very important also. I think we had a dream also to have a workshop on Thomas Kuhn and others. So possibly he will also say that, in a sense, that how these phases of Dr. Mohamita, I am, if she is connected, I was missing you, Dr. Mohamita. She is a very young, bright scholar, and I know her work for quite some time. And she will be there to talk of rethinking research assessment. And Dr. Nishi is our old friend and colleague, and she will talk on a very important aspect of open source for research evaluation.
Long live India and France friendship.